One of the most often asked questions we receive from new residents is suggestions on where to visit. Some of our favorite spots in the White Mountains can be found in the White Mountain Trail Guide.
Being able to view wildlife in its natural habitat is one of life's great thrills, but knowing where and when you'll have the best chance can be tricky. The Pinetop Regional Office of the Arizona Game and Fish Department has created a new field guide. It's called White Mountains Wildlife Trails, and it'll help you map out a fun trip and enjoy nature in eastern Arizona.
The map was developed with a couple things in mind. We know that some people like to enjoy the outdoors by hiking and being up close to nature, yet other folks have some families and they would prefer to simply find some driving routes or driving loops to see wildlife from a vehicle. So the map is actually a combination of these two types of recreational activities. We've got over 20 different sites that are described in the map about where to go, what time to go, what time is best to find wildlife.
The guide gives directions to local wildlife viewing spots and information about how to best navigate through them. Some sites have hiking trails, while others are driving loops of longer mileage. The guide also tells you what type of facilities are available at each location. In addition, the guide offers a comprehensive description of what types of animals you're likely to find in each spot, from elk to Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep to osprey and songbirds.
Several of the site descriptions actually occur on some of the department-owned wildlife areas that were acquired with heritage monies. For instance, one of our more recent ones is at the Grasslands White Mountain Wildlife Area. And just as the name describes, the majority of the habitat there is grassland habitat. It does have some pinyon juniper woodland that surrounds it. We do have a hiking trail that we just completed there that's about a little over 2.5 miles in length. The trail at Grasslands actually is laid out pretty neat. It follows the circumference of a large draw that has water in the bottom and some meadows. And as a person walks the trail, they can actually stay in cover for a good majority of the way as they circle this large draw. The draw itself, because of the water availability in the bottom, will attract large mammals such as pronghorn antelope. It has elk, some mule deer. It also has a wide variety of grassland birds. So it's a pretty neat little setup and something that we're real proud of. The trail itself is not very difficult. It does go up through a saddle of a low hill, so the hiking difficulty is actually moderate. One of my favorite areas to visit is a driving loop that we call the Wildcat Loop. It travels a large length of the Black River Canyon drainage. There are several points where you can drive out to short distances, or you can even park and walk to these overlooks where you can see the water itself. And as you're looking up and down the drainage, there are several interesting things to look for. If you arrive in early summer, there's probably going to be osprey sitting on nests with young in the nest. And the way the overlooks are situated, you would actually be above the nest itself, so you can see the young in the nest.
You can see one soaring, and then there's one on the nest, so there's two hanging around on that second nest.
All right.
Getting a close-up view of wildlife can be a very rewarding experience, and the guide will help you do it in a way that doesn't disturb the animals you're trying to observe.
One of the points that the wildlife viewing guide makes is ethical viewing of wildlife, and that is observing wildlife from as much of a distance as you can so as not to interrupt their own behavior. Some of these places where you'll come to, you actually would need some optics to see wildlife better.
Yeah.
So a good pair of binoculars or even a spotting scope, a quality spotting scope, will help bring these animals up close to where you can actually see their behaviors. Most of that can't be done unless you're very, very close, and we don't want to get close because we don't want to disturb the animal's behavior.
Bruce Sitko and the staff of the Pinetop Regional Office know a lot about how to increase your chances for viewing wildlife.
So there's a couple things to keep in mind whenever you're outdoors enjoying trying to find wildlife. First of all, you need to be out when the wildlife are most visible, when they're up and moving around. seeking food to eat or water to drink. Now for large mammals, which the public seems to enjoy viewing quite a bit, those times are actually right at sunrise and they're right at sunset. Most animals don't move around very much in the middle of the day in the heat of the day. They like to get into cover where it's shady and kind of take it easy. The second tip that I could give to folks, if you don't do anything else in the woods, if you're taking hikes, the best thing to do is to move slowly and move quietly. We've all had these things happen to us where we're kind of talking a little bit, we're making a little bit too much noise, moving a little bit too fast, and all of a sudden we turn the corner of a hill or come around a bend in the trail just in time to see an animal that just dives out of sight. And all we see is the flash of its rear end or wings as they flutter off. And if we had just been a little bit quieter, we could have come upon that animal a little bit easier and not spooked it off. So move slowly and move quietly. Really take time to stop and look around and check your surroundings out.
The White Mountains Wildlife Trails map is available for free from any Arizona Game and Fish Department office.
For more information about any of the new programs you've seen, log on to our webpage at azgfd.gov.